Commander Jake Morrison strode across the bridge of his ship. The Earth's Pride was among humanity's newest exploration vessels, having spent the last 3 months traveling through space in search of habitable worlds. Jake loved his role, but today something felt off. "Sir, we are approaching the New Geneva system," Lieutenant Amy Foster reported from her station at the control panel. "The colony should come into view in about 10 minutes. Jake nodded, gazing out at the stars. New Geneva had been hailed as one of humanity's most successful colonies. 12 million people lived there, having built cities and farms, and had maintained weekly communications with Earth for the past 5 years. But 3 months ago, those messages suddenly ceased. "Amy, what do the long-range sensors show?" Jake asked. Amy studied her screens, her face paling. "Sir, I'm detecting some unusual energy patterns. There should be cities below, but I'm not picking up any life signs." Dr. Lisa Carter approached Jake. As the ship's expert on alien civilizations and ancient worlds, she had been analyzing the readings. "Commander, these energy signatures, they don't match any human technology I've ever seen." Jake's heart rate quickened. "Put it on the main screen." The massive display lit up, showing the New Geneva system, where a vibrant blue and green planet with swirling white clouds should have been. Something entirely different appeared. The planet's surface gleamed like glass, smooth, reflective, lifeless. There were no cities, no forests, no signs of life at all. "My God," Amy whispered. "What happened to them?" Lisa continued her analysis at her station. "Commander, the energy readings indicate this world was struck by an orbital bombardment. The heat was intense enough to melt the entire surface into glass." Jake stared at the obliterated world. 12 million people had lived there, men, women, children, attempting to carve out a new life among the stars. And now, they were gone. Every single one. "Amy, bring us into orbit. I want full sensor sweeps of the planet. Lisa, analyze every bit of data we can collect. I need to know who did this, and how." The Earth's Pride moved closer. From orbit, the devastation was total. No buildings remained. Roads and bridges were erased. Even the mountains had been transformed into smooth, glassy hills. "Sir, I'm detecting fragments of debris." "Orbit," Amy reported. "I'm detecting fragments. Ship parts, but none are human. The metal is unfamiliar, and the designs don't resemble anything we build. Can you determine what kind of ships these were?" Jake leaned over the console. "The computer is analyzing now, sir. Commander, these weapon signatures are appearing in our database. We've tracked similar energy patterns across 17 star systems over the past 6 months. A chill ran through Jake's body. 17 systems. How many colonies had been affected? Amy checked her logs. "All of them, sir. Every human settlement in this region has gone dark in the past 6 months. Initially, we assumed equipment malfunctions or solar storms. But if these signatures match, then—" She didn't need to finish. Jake understood instantly. Someone, or something, had been systematically annihilating human colonies. One by one, they had hunted every settlement and obliterated it entirely. Lisa looked up from her station. "Commander, preliminary analysis shows the weaponry is definitely not human. It uses directed energy, focusing heat and pressure in ways we've never seen. But there's more." "What is it?" Jake asked. "The attack patterns indicate planning. This wasn't random violence. Whoever did this studied the colony layouts in advance. They knew where the power plants were, the shelters. Every defensive position was struck simultaneously. This was a coordinated military strike." Jake moved to the communications console. "Send a message to Earth Command immediately. Priority Alpha. Inform them we've located the source of the colony blackouts. Warn them that hostile alien forces are responsible and that millions of humans are already dead." The communications officer began transmitting. Jake knew it would take weeks to reach Earth, but humanity needed to know. "Amy, collect every piece of debris you can find. I want samples of their weapons and ships. I want everything we can learn about these aliens. Yes, sir. Commander? Should we head back to Earth? Jake glanced at the glass planet. Somewhere beneath the shiny surface lay the remains of 12 million humans, people who trusted their government to protect them, who believed in building a better life among the stars. Not yet, he said. Lisa, check our star charts. If they hit 17 systems in 6 months, there must be a pattern. We need to know their next target. Lisa worked quickly, her face growing pale. Commander, if they continue at this rate, the Harmony system is next. That colony houses 8 million people. How soon? Based on previous timing, maybe 2 weeks. Jake made his decision. Amy, set course for Harmony. Maximum speed. Send another message to Earth Command. Inform them we're proceeding to warn the colony and assist in their defense. Sir, our ship isn't built for combat. We only have basic defenses. I know, but we cannot let 8 million more people die, and we need to see these aliens ourselves. We must understand what humanity is facing. The Earth's pride turned from the glass world and jumped into hyperspace. As they sped toward Harmony, Jake stood on the bridge, contemplating their discovery. Humanity had expanded into space for 300 years, encountering dozens of alien species, some friendly, some indifferent, a few hostile. But nothing like this. New Geneva's destruction wasn't about territory or resources. The planet was now uninhabitable. This was extermination. Jake realized the terrifying truth. Humanity was not safe in the galaxy. An alien species existed, with the power and intent to annihilate every human. As the Earth's pride raced toward Harmony, Jake wondered if they would arrive in time. And he wondered if humanity could survive what was coming. The war for the survival of the human species had begun, and Earth was unaware. 3 weeks later, Jake's urgent message finally reached home. Panic gripped the government. The most powerful figures in human space convened in a secret underground facility beneath Geneva. Fleet Admiral Kate Sullivan stood at the head of a massive table, displaying a map of known space. Red dots marked destroyed colonies, 23 in total. More had been confirmed dead as Jake's message traveled. Ladies and gentlemen, Kate said, addressing the room of military officers and government leaders, we are facing the gravest crisis in human history. We are not merely dealing with raiders or pirates. We are facing an organized enemy that wants to exterminate every human in the galaxy. Intelligence Director Paul Richards stood and activated a holographic projector. A tall, thin alien figure appeared above the table, its 4 arms extended. Its crystalline skin shimmered under the light, and massive black eyes seemed to pierce anyone who looked at them. This is our enemy, Paul said. We've intercepted some of their communications and analyzed debris recovered from our destroyed colonies. They call themselves the Zephyrians. An ancient species. They've been traveling through space for roughly 50,000 years. General Ryan Brooks stared at the projection, disgusted. What do they want from us? Why are they killing our people? Paul brought up another display showing translated alien text. That's the disturbing part. According to their messages, they don't consider this a war. They see humans as pests. They believe our species contaminates the galaxy and must be eradicated. Dr. Helen Park rose from her seat. As Earth's leading expert in alien psychology, she had spent days studying the intercepted transmissions. The Zephyrians have built their civilization around balance and perfection. They view human expansion and population growth as a threat to everything they deem sacred. Kate Sullivan listened silently, her face unreadable. A seasoned military officer with 30 years of experience, she had fought hostile aliens before. But this was different. This wasn't about land or resources. It was about humanity's very right to exist. How many of them are there? She asked. Paul consulted his notes. Intelligence estimates their population at roughly 40 billion across 300 star systems. Their military is far more advanced than ours. Their weapons can annihilate entire planets, and they've waged space wars long before humans discovered fire. The room fell silent as the reality sank in. Humanity had been exploring the stars for only 3 centuries, with a population of 15 billion spread across 47 colonies. The Zephyrians outnumbered them and had thousands of years more experience in space combat. "What are our options?" asked President Laura Thompson. Seated at the table's end, General Brooks spoke first. "Madame President, we must mobilize everything. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon. A defensive war is futile against an enemy this powerful. We have to strike first." "That sounds like suicide," Secretary of Defense Mike Johnson argued. "Their technology is superior. If we attack directly, they'll crush us." Kate Sullivan had been considering this problem for days, studying historical human military campaigns for insight. "Actually, General Brooks is correct. We cannot win a conventional war against the Zephyrians, but we have advantages they do not." "What advantages?" the president asked. "They are an old, stable civilization. They plan over centuries and millennia, avoiding risks. Humans think differently. We adapt fast, take risks, and can shift strategies in weeks instead of years." Dr. Park nodded. "Psychological profiles confirm this. Zephyrians value order and predictability. 50,000 years of avoiding chaos has left them unprepared for an opponent that refuses to follow rules." Paul Richards added more intelligence. "We've also learned about their military doctrine. They favor long-range engagements, avoiding close-quarters combat. They haven't fought at close range in over 1,000 years." Kate allowed herself a small smile. "Then that's how we beat them. We get close enough that their superior weapons can't be used. We force them into a kind of combat they've avoided for centuries." President Thompson scanned the room. "Admiral, what exactly are you suggesting?" "Total war, Madame President. Convert every factory on every human world to military production. Build ships faster than they can destroy them. Train every able-bodied person in the use of weapons, and take the fight directly to their home systems. The casualties will be enormous," Secretary Johnson warned, "or we do nothing, and the casualties will be everyone," Kate Sullivan replied coldly. "The Zephyrians have made their intentions clear. They want every human dead. This is not about territory or peace. It is survival." General Brooks approached the star map. "I agree with Admiral Sullivan. We mobilize every resource, build an armada unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen, and we show these aliens what happens when humanity is threatened." The president considered the decision carefully. She knew this choice would determine the fate of the human species. "Very well. I authorize complete militarization of human space. All civilian production converts immediately to military output. All able-bodied citizens are conscripted. We will construct the largest fleet in history and use it to ensure humanity survives." Kate Sullivan felt grim satisfaction. The Zephyrians had underestimated humans, assuming them weak and easily destroyed. They were about to learn that humans were survivors, and when survival was threatened, they became the deadliest predators in the galaxy. "How long until our fleet is ready?" the president asked. 6 months, and we'll have 5,000 warships," Kate replied. "A year, and we'll have 10,000. The Zephyrians want to remove humanity from the galaxy. Instead, we're going to remove them." Orders were sent to every human world. The greatest military mobilization in history had begun. Soon the Zephyrians would discover they were not facing a weak prey species. They had chosen the galaxy's most determined and vicious predators. The war for humanity's survival had begun. 8 months after the Geneva emergency meeting, the human war machine ran at full power. Every factory had been converted to warship production. Asteroid mining stations worked around the clock, supplying Metals, children trained on weapons at school, grandparents labored in munitions factories. Humanity's focus had become singular. War Captain Ben Walker stood on the bridge of the heavy cruiser Retribution, observing his fleet ready for humanity's first major strike against the Zephyrians. 200 warships surrounded him, not the most advanced in the galaxy, but built quickly, built tough, and each carrying firepower capable of leveling cities. Captain, final targeting data from Fleet Command, Lieutenant Carol Hayes reported. The Zephyrian base on Cathera has 12 orbital defense platforms and roughly 50 ships in system. Ben studied the tactical display. The Zephyrians expected a defensive human stance to protect remaining colonies. Instead, the fleet had penetrated deep into enemy territory to strike a major military installation. Bold, unpredictable, against every expectation of ancient alien warfare. All ships, Captain Walker addressed the fleet. Today, we show these aliens what happens when they threaten humanity. They want to exterminate us. Instead, we will teach them human fury. All ships, prepare for attack. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace above Cathara. Below, crystal cities sparkled under twin suns. Orbital platforms formed a protective ring around the planet, while Zephyrian warships moved between them in flawless formation. The first shots came from the defense platforms, lances of concentrated energy striking toward the human fleet. 2 destroyers vanished in blinding explosions of light and metal, but the human ships pressed forward, accelerating toward the enemy lines. "Return fire! All weapons!" Ben commanded. "Target those platforms first. I want them neutralized before they can coordinate their defenses." The Retribution and her sister ships unleashed every weapon in their arsenal. Human missiles swarmed the Zephyrian platforms, while laser cannons and particle beams tore through enemy ships. Explosions and debris filled the space around Cathara. The Zephyrians responded with superior technology, but they were unprepared for human tactics. Ships attacked in coordinated squads of 3 or 4, striking the same targets from multiple angles. When a human ship was damaged, it did not retreat for repairs. Instead, it pressed forward, using itself as a weapon. Ben watched as the destroyer Phoenix lost its engines under enemy fire. Captain Lisa Rodriguez steered her crippled ship into a Zephyrian cruiser, detonating the reactor. The blast destroyed both vessels and damaged 2 others nearby. "My God," whispered Ben's navigation officer. "She actually did it. She turned her ship into a bomb." "That is what we do when survival is at stake," Ben replied. "We use everything, including our own lives if necessary." The battle raged for 4 hours. When it ended, 12 Zephyrian platforms and 30 ships had been destroyed. The human fleet had lost 40 vessels, but the mission was accomplished. Cathera's defenses were obliterated, and the planet was defenseless. "Sir, surrender signals from the planetary government," reported the communications officer. "Ignore them," Ben said coldly. "Launch all ground assault shuttles. Every military installation on that planet, destroy it. Weapons factories, training facilities, command centers, leave nothing that could threaten human lives." Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Michelle Green worked in a heavily secured laboratory. She led a secret project with unlimited resources and full authority to develop weapons capable of ending the war decisively. "The quantum cascade warheads are ready for testing," she told the military observers. "These weapons do not merely destroy matter, they break down the fundamental forces holding atoms together. Anything they touch ceases to exist." General Brooks examined the compact device resembling a missile warhead. "How powerful are they?" "One warhead eradicates everything within a 50-kilometer radius," she explained, "and the cascade effect continues until all matter is consumed. Detonate one over a planet, and it would dissolve it entirely within hours." The general stared in awe and horror. "Doctor, are you telling me this weapon can destroy an entire planet?" "Not destroy, General. Erase. Nothing remains. No," Debris, no radiation, no trace of existence, complete molecular dissolution. Meanwhile, on Majamir, the captured Zephyrin world of Velax, interrogation specialist Colonel Steve Martinez questioned surrendered enemy soldiers. Though their forces had been defeated, the aliens remained unnervingly calm. "Why do you not fear death?" Steve asked the chained Zephyrin commander. "Because death is temporary," the alien replied in perfect human. "But the great cleansing is eternal. Your species will be removed from the galaxy as planned. We have prepared for this for 200 of your years." Steve felt a cold dread. "The great cleansing? Complete extermination of humanity. Every world, every ship, every person. Your species contaminates the cosmic balance. We will not rest until every human is gone. You are losing this war. We have destroyed dozens of your worlds." Steve began. The Zephyrin commander made a sound like laughter. "You have destroyed outposts and frontier colonies. You have not even encountered our true fleet. When the great cleansing begins, you will see how small and weak your species truly is." Steve immediately sent his report to Admiral Sullivan. The Zephyrians were not merely attempting to curb human expansion. They had been planning humanity's total genocide for centuries. This was not a war about territory or resources. This was a war about whether humans would be allowed to exist. Admiral Sullivan read the intelligence report in her command center, feeling her blood run cold. The Zephyrians had superior numbers, superior technology, and a plan centuries in the making. But they had made a fatal mistake. They had revealed their intentions too early. "Send word to all fleet commanders," she ordered. "Project Omega is now authorized. We are no longer fighting a war of conquest. We are fighting a war of extermination, and we will ensure humanity survives." Within hours, the order spread across human space. Humanity had attempted a limited war against the Zephyrians, but it was now clear that such a war was impossible. The aliens sought the complete destruction of the human species. Humanity would respond in kind. The official goal of the human military: total annihilation of the Zephyrian species. The war for survival was about to turn far darker. On Zephys Prime, the ancient homeworld of the Zephyrian High Council, panic and confusion filled the council chambers. The planet's towering crystal spires reflected the calm of millions of Zephyrins going about daily life. But inside the chambers, fear reigned. Archon Valara, the oldest council member at 8,000 years old, had guided her species through countless crises, but she had never seen anything like the reports before her. In just 2 years, humans had stopped the Zephyrian advance and captured or destroyed over 60 worlds. "How is this possible?" demanded Archon Cathran, staring at the tactical displays. "We have superior technology, superior numbers, and have fought wars in space since these creatures were in caves." Military Commander Zark gave the grim assessment no one wanted to hear. "The humans do not fight like any species we have known. They do not minimize casualties or preserve forces. Each human ship is treated as an expendable weapon. Every soldier fights as if the survival of their entire species depends on that single battle. They are relentless hunters. On their home world, they evolved to chase prey across vast distances until exhaustion claimed it. And now they apply the same relentless strategy in space warfare." "But they are so young," protested Archon Catherine. "Their civilization barely spans 3 centuries. How can they match us in combat?" Zark activated a holographic display of recent battles. Human ships swarmed larger Zephyrin vessels, like angry insects. When outnumbered, they called reinforcements. When outgunned, they closed the distance until superior weapons were useless. When losing, they turned their own ships into bombs. They adapt faster than we can plan. We design a weapon. They counter it in weeks. We change tactics. They change faster. Every defeat teaches them new strategies immediately. On the human side, President Laura Thompson addressed the Global Defense Council, barely containing her fury. Intelligence reports confirmed a horrifying development. The Zephyrians had created a biological weapon targeting human DNA. They call it the final solution, Thompson said, revealing classified materials. A virus engineered to attack. Only human genetic material, designed to deploy simultaneously across all human worlds via long-range missiles. The chamber erupted. General Brooks slammed his fist on the table. "Madam President, this is genocide! Complete extermination!" "I know what it is, General," Thompson said. "The question is what we will do about it." Dr. Michelle Green, working with biological warfare specialists, added, "Madam President, if deployed, this virus could eliminate 90% of humanity in 6 months. There is no defense, no cure." Thompson looked around at her advisors. These were dedicated people, trained to preserve peace, but peace was gone. The Zephyrians had chosen extermination. Humanity now had to make its choice. "Dr. Green, how soon can we deploy the quantum cascade weapons against all Zephyrian population centers?" "The warheads are ready now, Madam President. Enough to target every major world simultaneously. But understand, these weapons will not just kill the Zephyrians. They will erase them completely. Every trace of their civilization will cease to exist." "Good," Thompson replied without hesitation. "They decided humans do not deserve to exist. We are returning the favor." Admiral Sullivan listened, anger growing. The Zephyrians had begun this war by destroying colonies, escalated it to planned genocide, and now they would learn what happens when humanity is pushed too far. "Madam President, I recommend immediate deployment. The Zephyrians have shown no mercy. They deserve none in return. We end this war by ending them." Secretary Johnson tried one last argument. "There must be another way. We're talking about the extinction of a species." "They made that choice first," Thompson said coldly. "The only difference is we will succeed." The vote was unanimous. Every member of the Global Defense Council authorized use of the quantum cascade weapons against all Zephyrian worlds. Operation Final Answer would commence within 72 hours, back on Zephyrus Prime. The High Council watched massive human fleet movements approaching from every direction. But these fleets did not attack military targets or seek territory. They positioned themselves around every Zephyrian world. "What are they planning?" wondered Cathan. Zarthik analyzed intercepted communications, now mostly encrypted beyond Zephyrian ability. "I don't know. Every ship carries unknown weapon systems our sensors cannot identify." Valara's dread deepened. "Send messages. To all our worlds. Prepare defenses. Evacuate non-essential personnel to deep space stations." "Where would they go?" asked Cathron. "The humans seem to be targeting every system we control." Then the terrible truth dawned. The humans were not seeking conquest or surrender. They were preparing something far worse, something that would ensure the Zephyrian threat could never return. "Contact the human fleet immediately," Valara ordered. "Offer surrender terms." When the communications officer tried, he found the humans no longer accepted diplomatic signals. There. Response was identical across every channel. "The time for talk is over." Admiral Sullivan sat in her command ship, watching the final preparations for Operation Final Answer. Around her, the largest human fleet ever assembled waited for the order. Every ship carried quantum cascade weapons. Every weapon was aimed at a Zephyrian population center. "Admiral, all fleets report ready," her communications officer announced. Sullivan's thoughts went to the 12 million humans lost at New Geneva, to the countless colonies reduced to glass, to the biological weapon the Zephyrians had planned against her species. "Begin Operation Final Answer," she ordered. The command rippled across 300 star systems simultaneously. In 60 seconds, the war between humanity and the Zephyrians would end. In 60 seconds, one species would be erased from existence. Captain Julie Adams guided her stealth vessel through the outer edges of the Zephyrus Prime system. Invisible. To enemy sensors, her ship carried the most important cargo in human history. Behind her, in the darkness between stars, waited humanity's greatest fleet. 3,000 warships armed with enough quantum cascade weapons to erase an entire species. All cascade devices in position around the planet, reported Commander Tony Rivera from the flagship's Weapons Coordination Center. Targeting solutions locked on every major population center across all 300 Zephyran worlds. Admiral Sullivan's voice cut across the fleet-wide comms, calm, resolute, like a judge, delivering a sentence. Today, we ensure no species will ever again threaten humanity with extinction. The Zephyrians chose extermination. We simply ensure that we survive. Julie stared at her tactical display. Below, Zephyrus Prime glimmered with crystal cities. Billions of Zephyrians lived there. Families, dreams, lives, just like humans. But they had planned to annihilate every human, including her own children back on Earth. Final weapons check complete, Tony announced. All quantum cascade. Warheads armed and ready. The weapons Dr. Michelle Green had developed were unlike anything the universe had ever seen. They did not merely destroy matter, they unraveled the fundamental forces holding atoms together. Anything touched by the cascade ceased to exist at the most basic level of reality. Sullivan recalled the Zephyran biological weapon reports. Billions of humans would have perished, turning agonized against their own DNA. The Zephyrians had planned this fate for every human being. All fleet commanders report ready for simultaneous strike, the communications officer confirmed. Execute. Operation Final Answer, Sullivan commanded. Across 300 star systems, the scene unfolded simultaneously. Human ships emerged from hiding, surrounding every Zephyran world. Quantum cascade warheads launched from missile tubes, streaking toward the planets below. On Zephyrus Prime, the first warhead detonated 50 kilometers above the largest city. Initially, the explosion looked almost beautiful. A luminous flower, blooming in the sky. Then the cascade reaction began, and everything changed. The quantum cascade spread at light speed. Buildings vanished without dust. Crystal spires, the pride of Zephyran civilization, disappeared instantly. Julie watched as mountains dissolved, oceans evaporated, and the planet's very core turned into quantum foam. Within minutes, Zephyrus Prime no longer existed. "My God," whispered her navigation officer. "The entire planet, gone." Across the galaxy, the same scenes unfolded. Ancient colonies existing for tens of thousands of years were wiped from existence. Military bases thought impregnable vanished without a trace. Billions of Zephyrians died so quickly that the universe itself seemed to shudder in silence. Quickly, they never understood what had struck them. Dr. Green watched from the observation deck of Admiral Sullivan's command ship as reports streamed in from fleet commanders across Zephyran space. Cascade deployment successful on all targets. No Zephyran worlds remain. The weapons had performed exactly as designed. The quantum cascade reaction had spread across every planet until nothing remained. No buildings, no roads, no forests, no mountains, no oceans. Every trace of Zephyran civilization had been erased at the atomic level. What about their space? Stations and deep space colonies? Admiral Sullivan asked. All eliminated, sir. Cascade weapons were deployed against every Zephyran installation in the galaxy. Our ships are now sweeping for survivors. Commander Tony Rivera coordinated the cleanup operations from his station. Human fleets moved through former Zephyran territory, searching for any signs of life. They found empty space where once bustling worlds had orbited. They found solar systems missing planets, their gravitational patterns betraying what had once existed. "Admiral, we have confirmed 0 survivors," Tony reported. "The Zephyran species has been completely eradicated." Admiral Sullivan felt no joy at the news. This was not a victory to celebrate. It had been a necessity. The Zephyrians had threatened humanity with genocide, and had paid the ultimate price for that choice. 3 months later, Ambassador Chris Taylor stood before the Galactic Council representing humanity. The Great Chamber was filled with representatives from dozens of alien species. Rumors of what had happened to the Zephyrians had spread, but none knew the full truth. The Galactic Council recognizes the human ambassador, announced the council. President Chris stepped to the center of the chamber, meeting the gaze of countless alien faces. Some curious, some fearful, all seeking to know what had become of the mighty Zephyrian Empire that had dominated much of the galaxy for 50,000 years. Honored representatives, humanity appears before you today to reaffirm our commitment to peace and cooperation, Chris began. We seek trade partnerships, cultural exchanges, and mutual defense agreements with any nation that desires them. The Altarian representative raised one of his 4 hands to ask a question. Ambassador Taylor, we have noticed the Zephyrian Empire has vanished from our star charts. Can you explain? Chris was prepared. Humanity would tell the galaxy the truth. The Zephyrian Empire no longer exists. They made the mistake of threatening humanity with complete extermination. We acted to ensure they could never carry out that threat. Are you saying humanity destroyed the entire Zephyrian species? Asked the shocked council president. I am saying that any species that threatens humanity with genocide ceases to exist. The Zephyrians planned to annihilate every human man, woman, and child. They developed biological weapons targeting human DNA. They left us no choice but to defend ourselves. The chamber erupted in whispers as the aliens comprehended the revelation. Humanity had not only defeated the Zephyrians, they had erased them so completely that future historians would find no trace they had ever existed. Let this serve as a lesson to all civilizations, Chris continued. Humanity offers friendship to those who seek it, trade to those who need it, protection to those who ask. But we will never again tolerate threats to our existence. The message was unmistakable. Humanity could be ally, friend, or trading partner, but never victim. The galaxy had learned that threatening humans with extinction was the quickest path to being extinct yourself. From that day forward, no alien species ever again suggested humanity should be destroyed. The Zephyrians had been the first, and the last, because they no longer existed to remember the mistake. Peace endured in human space for generations, for every potential enemy remembered what had happened to the species that dared anger humanity.